like amazing second game they'll do like completely random. Like you could change the name tags and I would just assume they're different teams. So going into like a best of 5 format or a best of 3 could see something completely different.
Kind of reminds me of most LCS teams right now,
You're not
where
wrong.
like one game is like, whoa, they just stomped, they looked awesome. And then the next game they mess up something at 5 minutes and they just get stomped themselves and we're like, oh, that's a 1-1 now. So I feel like in that way Millenium and Misfits kind of fit the bottom part of the LCS at the moment. Obviously, we would love to see all these teams just to get way better and actually get consistent.
Exactly.
I feel like Misfits in a game like this, where they don't play for anything, we would assume they're still going to go in here and give it 100% and try and get the 2-0.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't actually fault them if they were trying some new comps.
Well, what's for certain, Deficio, is we are into Champion Select, and these teams went through the bans very quickly. Just run through them. Brom, Rumble, and Trundle coming in for Millenium, and Rise, Karma, Nidalee for Misfits. And first pickup of Shen, seeing that more and more, that was already a trend coming into Challenger last week. Yeah. And then more LCS teams are seeing his potential. Thresh and Rek'Sai from Misfits.
So I think Shen here is perfectly fine. It is very much a top-tier pick in the Challenger meta, and something we see in many different regions as a very contested pick. I think the Karma ban also stands out because Karma on this match specifically, while she was fantastic already, she's even better now with these items that buff obviously healing and shielding coming in. It's even better for someone like a Karma. So I definitely think she should be banned away. I wonder if we get to see something like a Soraka potentially with again the extra bonuses from healing. Yeah. First rotation for Misfits is a little bit surprising with Thresh being locked in. Obviously, comfort pick for many supports. Yeah. I think it also is a pick if you play a very skirmish-heavy style and you expect like a lot of these small 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. Thresh is great, but he's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. He very easily become useless if you fall behind, but if you have a great game, you can set up so many plays.
I mean, he's like the Lee Sin of supports, right?
Yeah,
like he's the staple. Yeah, you can really make things happen. For example, like we saw Hybrid the other week in LCS, where he was just like literally 1v2 in the bottom lane, just murdering them constantly. So we can see the potential of that. Olaf coming out once more. I mean, like Ashe, Olaf, we've seen so much recently. Engage. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see something to pair with the Olaf to like give him a speed up or something. But with Ashe being picked up, there's not going to be Sivir, and Karma's already been banned.
Yeah, so I feel like you kind of run out of options right there for like the big AoE speed at least. I actually would have loved to see Sivir be picked with the Olaf. Obviously, Millenium wanted more hard engage, but I think Sivir Olaf is such a good rotation, especially with the Shen. But some teams are afraid to put too many eggs in one basket. If they're like, okay, so it's all about Olaf just running in, Shen ulti on him, speeding him up with Sivir, and then he just goes like this. If he starts falling behind and he loses all his value, that's why some teams are stepping away from it. But I think that could have been a great option, locking in Sivir instead.
Maybe, and there is the Sivir actually locked in with Hecarim on the opposite side. Hecarim, it was interesting. We were having a conversation earlier today about Hecarim and how he fares. And with these teams being like, oh yeah, we do really well in scrims, and Selfie actually being the one who said that, it's just like, perfect. Well, Hecarim is one of those champions. If you get like 2 kills, you just go ham. But if he falls behind, we've seen exactly what happens. He just runs in and instantly dies because he's so squishy.
Yeah, and I feel like we see more often the Hecarim who falls behind and does nothing than the Hecarim who gets ahead and like looks fantastic in the LCS. That is, I still think he's a strong pick. Yeah. But obviously in this case here, he's not a jungler. Like he's a top laner. So
that's true.
All our talking about jungle Hecarim potentially falling behind, not as relevant as a tank Hecarim. You can just go full tank and you still have like a fairly strong laning phase. Obviously into these melee matchups, he's always done really well because he can just spam Q around you 24/7, even though he receives so many nerfs. So I don't think he's the strongest pick, but I think he's okay up in the top lane.
Yeah, I actually wonder how he'll do against Shen. Me and Vedius were doing many tests in the office where I did get wrecked, but we did find out in the early game, Shen does pretty well against most melee matchups.
He does.
He does.
I mean, that's why Shen is in the meta, right? A big reason for it is the fact that against Irelia, Trundle, these picks, he can actually do pretty well in the early game. Yeah. Where other tanks, like a Maokai, just literally falls flat on his face and just gets destroyed and does nothing. So now I'm glad the camera was on me to see, like, this is what happened.
Yeah, it's because we're in Champions League usually, and we don't have like our faces on, so we'll just do like crazy stuff, and no one will notice. But you have us now. Something that we didn't even mention was Vladimir made it all the way through picks to the last pick, and then was last picked. by Misfits, which is crazy because like in the LCS he was just banned all the time.
But new patch 6.13. Vladimir has been nerfed. Well-deserved nerf, to be honest. He was way too strong. I actually think the changes are perfectly fine. It makes him a little bit risky as a blind pick. Certain matchup like Cassiopeia and Anivia can like really beat him now, much harder than before. But against these control mages, Vladimir does perfectly fine. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense to save him as a last pick, but also not just randomly first pick him anymore on this current patch. So I actually quite like that from Misfits. It's a good last pick.
Yeah, I'm interested to see now if Vladimir just goes ham and just goes like 20-0 and it's just like, no, Vladimir's still good, and then we'll be banned for the rest of eternity.
We gotta keep in mind like the changes to him is to his passive. So like when you
reverted actually.
Exactly. Like when you get HP now, you get less AP from it, but when you get AP, you get more HP. So obviously you can snowball hard as a bruiser still. Will have slightly less damage, but once you're sitting on these 3 items, if you are ahead, you are still really strong. Like you're still very good.
He's still Vladimir.
He's not dead just yet. Well, technically he is dead, I guess. But
I guess so. Actually, I don't think that's part of his lore. But either way, use the hashtags #MILWin or #MSFWin. Or checking what you guys are thinking at home as we get into this game.
I thought our
the top 2
were dead.
of the table. Well, he's not technically a vampire. In his lore, he was a normal human being. He was from Noxus, and then one day he came across this dude who had like blood magic, and then he sucked the life force out of him, and then he transferred all his like crazy blood voodoo onto him. So basically, he's actually dead.
He's dressing like a vampire.
Yeah.
He acts like a vampire.
Yeah.
But he is in fact not a vampire.
Correct.
He's just blood magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I could rewrite that lore in like 2 seconds and just type he's a vampire.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's old lore as well, so it's pretty outdated and probably not canon anymore, but...
he even had the Count of Vladimir skin?
He did, but that's a skin. That's meant to be like a different universe.
Oh, he's a vampire. I'm glad we agree, Pulse.
Fair enough. He's a vampire. We sorted it. Well, we've got an early game where both teams place down wards, and both teams are not going to interact for the first couple minutes, so we'll see what's going on.
But we also have an early game where both teams can take standard lanes. Double range support, you even see Ignite coming here for Ignar, so he's ready to actually play very aggressive in this lane. I assume he's also running Thunderlords.
Yeah, most Threshers do nowadays.
Exactly, so definitely could see standard lanes. We are seeing Millenium with some old-fashioned cheese down the bottom lane, hiding in that bush. When you have Ashe, like your first trade with like auto-tech volley is really annoying to deal with. Even a potential bubble coming in from Masterwick, they're still sitting in that bush down here. We are showing the mid lane trade.
Well, it's like the old cheese when Ashe had focus as her passive, and she had the crit, and she just like
the first
hit
crit
them for 200 damage, and was like, well, I won the lane.
Oh, they're still sitting here. They're not showing. We will see Shen in top lane, so we know it's standard lanes. Both teams know it.
Don't check it out. Come on, you've committed this time already.
They're going for it.
Ignar and Handshammer. Bubble wants a Handshammer. All 2 attacks are coming down. Ignar has to come out with the flay there to knock them away. And it was all worth it. Millenium sacrificed 3 creeps for some lane control.
Yeah, bet you for a potion. Like, they didn't get a camp level 1. They didn't stop the camp level 1 either. So Handshammer's already level 2.
Yeah, already out farming him.
Tabs lost like 3 minions as well. He got the experience, but he lost the minion gold. From setting up that little cheesy play. Now level 2 from Ignar. Nah, that's a minion. That's not taps.
That's really sad. But had that hook landed as well, that would have been horrific for the Millenium bot lane. But already being like a level down and down experience and also behind in farm, there's only 3 minions going towards tabs. And he is 9 farm behind. So even if he gets all of these, it's still not... Oh, he missed one as well.
But he has a biscuit.
He does.
You gotta risk it for the
biscuit. There we go. Cast the synergy right here. Top lane, Hecarim, I would assume, does pretty well against Shen early because most of his damage doesn't all come from auto attacks. It comes from the rampage. So
that's a very early dive. They're setting up level 2 Shen on the tower.
Oh, Wisdom comes in with the knocker, and Alfari is looking for the angle to come in on Kaze. Kaze will flash away. Alfari's chasing after first blood, but last tower shot. I'm gonna finish him off. Oh, it was an execute. Are you kidding me, Joko? I can't get in range of Wisdom. I can't believe that was an execute.
Oh, I was about to say, such a risky play for Misfits, just going all in for an early dive, but obviously the goal was also to try and deny some minions, get a TP back from Kaze. Man, he's gonna hate himself for not hitting that Hecarim.
This was all planned. Alphari stays out of range of Kaze, and Kaze is just walking in circles right now.
Right, so Wisdom tanks, flashes out on the last tower shot, so that's good. Then Alphari goes in, and I assume the goal here is that he can actually run out and then try and recall, but that is such a risky play, and Misfits are honestly lucky that there was no hits onto Alphari to trade kills. In the end, yes, they might have denied a few minions from Kaze, but he did TP back, so there's TP advantage. Very early on, it can be hard to take advantage of. Like normally you would see then a player on bottom side with TP coming in. But this early in the game, and also as a pre-level 6 Hecarim, not as flashy to go for that play potentially.
So the extra kill will be nice for Alphari. Of course, early kills for Hecarim are fantastic. Trying to get towards that first item spike or even the second item is really valuable for Hecarim, so he doesn't just insta-die. And also he has better gold income as well, being top lane. But
I do think you can camp him. Obviously pre-6, really hard for him to escape like a taunt into a red buff all-off. So I actually like what Joko's doing here. It's just a little bit too close to tower, but it's a lot of damage coming down.
Yeah, Kaze already got the taunt down with a second undertow. He might actually be able to go for the dive, but it kills him with undertow auto attack. And he backs away. He was a little too close to tower.
I'm a big fan of Joko and I being on the same page here. Being like, oh, is that a Hecarim with no ghost, pre-level 6? Well, that's a pretty easy gank as an Olaf. Obviously, Shen is fantastic at setting up these ganks with taunt. Even managed to pick up the kill on the tower. So now you just force his TP instead. And you kind of have the same situation for both. And obviously Alphari wants to get that early Trinity Force. The changes to it really does benefit top lane Hecarim. Technically it benefits jungle Hecarim too, but you get it fairly late and you need to be ahead to get it. That's where he suffers, you know, if he falls behind early as a jungler, and therefore you might not get the Trinity Force. But just get that early phase, get some more movement speed.
So what I'm realizing right now is Vladimir is still very oppressive. Will flash after Pretty, and he's still in range. Gravity Field, I'm not even sure it's going to save him. The stun comes down, and Pretty, he's out of range. And Joko, well, where are you going to run, Selfie? Absolutely nowhere. Undertow will finish him off. And Vladimir becomes a sad puddle of blood.
I like how Misfits, 5 minutes and 45 seconds into the game, has already tried to tower dive twice. One in the top lane and now one in the mid lane.
Welcome to Challenger, Deficio.
Yeah, I mean, it's entertaining, and this is the thing. When you are locked as the first place team, you do have the freedom to kind of test your limits. And as we talked about in Champs Select Pulse, Vladimir is still very, very strong. It's just, you can't always blind pick him when there are certain counter picks now, because he's a little bit weaker in the early game. But still, I mean, against champs like Victor, he does perfectly fine. So close with the dive. Pretty just gets down to stun. And the last auto attack doesn't kill him. The wolves just kind of spawn and do nothing.
That was really sad, though. It was so close. Had he had a little bit of extra charge on his Tides of Blood, it would have been a kill.
But how would he get out anyway? Like,
he wouldn't.
Almost no matter what, he would have died.
Like, he would have to go up. It would be a 1-for-1 trade at best.
And then
maybe
deny
hope.
minions again.
And maybe hope that Alphari can help him, but that didn't work out so well. Either way, Millenium with the slight advantage in terms of kills, but Misfits are still ahead in terms of farm, because how the top lane went, with the TP coming back from Kaze and Alphari TPing top lane, and just a bit from jungle and a bit from bot lane as well. So,
but let's remember that Kaze does not have a TP now, versus Shen ulti. If Millenium wants to set up a play on bottom side, especially also once Taps hits level 6, you can actually force that very, very quickly and very easily. And you have a big numbers advantage. Joko.
Found an Olaf. He's going to run through 3 people. And Selfie will take a Chaos Storm. Will take the Dark Lantern as well to ignore and be pretty safe. So, a lot of crazy stuff happening in the early game. Both teams just wanting to fight, which is great.
We love it. I just want to see Joko go to the bottom side right now and then make that play with the Shen ulti before Alphari gets his TP. Like, you can create a 4v2 tower dive so easily if you're Millenium. Selfie can't move in time. Wisdom might be around, but yeah, they're not finding him in the river.
Well, Wisdom went a little too deep. We'll get Shadow Dash, but Joko's low himself, and Alphari will try and punish. That's the onslaught of Shadows, but the TP coming in from Shen will be enough shielding to keep him alive. Triple knockup out from Wisdom, but he's not tanky enough to survive. Joko, he's solo. Alphari looking for one, looking for the second. Now with Vladimir coming into the fight, it should be enough to help them out, but Masterwork's going to join the fight as well. And now Selfie will go down, Pretty throwing out the Q to pick up the kill. 3-for-1, advantage Millenium.
This is just insane. 8 minutes in, another big fight. This time in the river, and again, Joko is part of it. Every single time he's there, he's ready to fight with his Olaf in the early game. Wisdom is the man peeking in to try and steal away a blue buff. But Joko is telling him it doesn't belong to him, and now the rest of Millenium just moving first. You know, Kaze can move first because he pushed out the top lane. Pretty just took a long route around, meeting Wisdom. is chunked before the fight even starts. And yeah, Joko is low, but now everything's being used to try and kill him, and Pretty before that was just kind of left on his own. Does take a lot of damage, and now it's simply Misfits just over-chasing. And Selfie coming in very late, and Masterwork just randomly appears.
Yeah, it's just like, oh great, of course there's a Nami here in this fight.
I'm sure. That's one of the great timings as a support. You just recalled, and then you like look around the map and you see, oh, that's a fight starting. I can literally run from base to that river, and I will be there in time to get at least one assist.
I mean, the fight went on for so long as well. That was like a 20-25 second fight, so it was very easy. You probably could have just recalled from bot lane and then walked up there and still been there in time.
This one wire here, Pulse, it tilts me. Keeps falling down.
You work with that one, Deficio. Deficio versus Wire. I have faith in you that you will win out the day.
I moved it to the other side now. It's all good.
Nailed it. Well, Selfie is going to nail this ward. 4 auto attacks. There we go.
That has been the only successful thing Selfie has done all game.
Yeah.
Kill that ward.
Selfie's been really successful in general in Challenger. Significantly more than his LCS performances.
But
this game, not so much.
That's why when he then dies early game, we can point it out. Like, that's the great thing, right? If a player gets heavily criticized by casters, there can be 2 reasons. Either one, he's just really doing a bad job like all the time and you have to call it out.
Right.
Or you've gotten so used to him being really, really good that when he doesn't get a great start to the game, it's much easier and much quicker to call out and be like, oh, we don't normally see this from Selfie. Like, normally he would be doing much better. But, I mean, he's been going crazy here. He's been diving at level 6 and, like, he's been late for a fight. And that's another fight.
There's another fight because there's an Infernal Dragon and both these teams just want to fight. Joko chasing after Hansour. Undertow will take him out alongside with Pretty. Wisdom gets trapped in the gravity field. He's not going anywhere. Another 2 kills over to Millenium. This is already starting off well for them to find a 2-0 this series.
Yeah, this is a crazy start for Millenium, and Misfits again are just playing so greedy. Constantly looking for fights they actually aren't supposed to take. This is them starting the dragon. Millenium just walks down, picks an easy fight. Like, look at this. So they start the dragon with 4 members, but everyone is around from Millenium already. So now you're just gonna get chased down, and your Hecarim is sitting top, by the way, with TP ready. But look at the minimap. There is only a pink ward near the mid lane from Misfits he could TP to. So he's like, he's looking for the ward on the map. There's no wards. They're not dropping any wards either, because that's a Rift Scuttler in the river.
So he was just like, well, I'm just going to stay top.
Yeah, I can't join.
I literally can't join him.
Like, he couldn't have joined, so you end up picking a 4v5 team fight, where you also took some damage from the dragon and just gave a perfect engage for Millenium.
Yeah. Because Misfits didn't even really want to fight there. As soon as Millenium turned up, they all just ran. So, yeah. Making a lot of ballsy decisions this game, which were all backfiring, and that's only actually resulted in a 1,000 gold lead for Millenium. It's not the end of the world, but there's also that that first crucial dragon of the Infernal, so need to be wary of that one. But there's a hook. Whoop. Masterwork with a sidestep, and that doesn't land either. Hansour can put the damage down, but Kaze TPing from top lane. There was already the dog passage. Here comes an arrow though. Lands on the Hansour, gonna be spell shielded. Everything just worked out well for Misfits there to get away.
Alright, so again, they're trying to set up a play. Alfari would have been able to TP in, which is why they probably weren't setting up a straight tower dive, but they're chasing for more.
Hook onto Kaze, he's going to body block, but Joko already has the Ragnarok on down, and they're going to chase underneath the inner tower. Wisdom is just kind of finding Masterwork, but Alfari this time he has somewhere to DP to, because they're fighting in between towers. Masterwork's going to fall to Alfari. Joko and Kaze are trying to run for their dear lives, but that's a double kill for Hecarim. 2 kills.
We were just talking about how Millenium doesn't have the TP advantage, so like diving a tower is risky. Running between 2 towers is also risky, because they were just chasing after Hansour and only Joko managed to get close to him. Obviously Kaze got interrupted during his taunt. I don't think it would have hit him anyway. And then Alfari gets the easiest TP out of his life. Let's see it again. So this play, it's almost too forced from Millenium. The way they're doing it, like sending in the Nami first into their Shen TP, and that's why Misfits are just disengaging. And here, because of Alfari has teleport, just back away. Like, it's too risky for you to start diving. Your AD carry, by the way, is not even here. So good interrupt on Kaze, who could have taunted the flash. That's why the interrupt is good from Ignore. Otherwise, Kaze could have caught onto Hansour with the flash after and taunted him. But now you just end up still over-chasing, even if they killed Hansour. Yeah. Alfari would still TP it in behind. Mid laner couldn't join, AD carry couldn't join. Taps has just managed to push the wave to the tower.
I mean, I don't think there's any arguing that that decision was a poor one from Millenium. Joker just looked at his wrist and was just like, yep, it's 12 minutes into this game, time to dive in a bot turret. And yeah, it didn't work out, funny enough, because those towers hurt a lot. Like, taking 2 tower shots from a tower will take literally half your health away.
And the funny thing is, whenever we have LCS players on our analyst desk and they talk about scrims, they always say, yeah, you know, European scrims tend to be like 25 minutes with at least 25 kills and just like constantly trying to outplay each other. A game like this is exactly how I picture, you know, the practice environment for challenger teams, for LCS teams, where it is constantly trying to see, can we push it even further? Can we go between these 2 towers? Can we dive this guy level 6? You know, the gang from Misfits on top side against the Shen at level 2 or level 3. Like these kind of plays where you're constantly trying to push it to the limit. And it makes for a very, very action-packed game. But also games where very quickly, especially if you play against very good teams, you can get punished and you fall really far behind. This game here, both teams are doing the exact same thing though. So they're just kind of trading even. Millenium does have a slight goal disadvantage at the moment. But it's still wide open, this game.
But I mean, the difference between the scrim and this game is the scrim you'd quit out at like 10 minutes if you'd made a critical error. But in this game, you actually play it out. You have to play it out. You are trying to get points here, and it's actually important for Millenium. You're going to try and pick up a kill onto Selfie, but Dark Passage will once again save the day as they take bottom lane tower.
But this was the correct play, and this is where we've now gone to like the macro part for Millenium, where they're basically just going straight for tower. And Sama
is being chased after a full combo from Pretty. Should be enough to finish him off. The final zap from the Chaos Storm will take him down. Ignot's going to come in 1 versus 2, but he doesn't have Rek'Sai to follow after. Pretty's going to escape through the tower. Kaze is going to take the long route out as well. Is anyone there to stop him? Oh, here comes Alfari, here comes the horse! Looking to chase after, he comes out and literally gets run over by Hecarim. Pretty will go down.
But that play before, so like the setup for Millenium, going for that bot lane tower was a great play because they would lose top tower to the jungle pressure, so they just had the TP from Shen as a potential threat for the bot lane, and you just straight towers. Like, great, everything is calm, everything is collected, we've now gotten a tower. And then Pretty sees the AD carry, dives straight for him. Again, it's the same situation where you end up diving so deep in the early game that yes, you might get the kill, but how are you going to get out? Like, that's always the problem. Like, you have to, the first step is kill guy. Second step is get out. And the second step, well, I don't see many ways for you to fulfill that and actually execute on step 2 of your plan.
Maybe there was never a step 2. Maybe it was always a one-way ticket.
Maybe.
Always just trying to pick up that kill.
Yeah, one-way ticket to hell, honestly.
Yeah, and you were saying that how they were trading towers. This is the macro coming in here. If that was macro every game, I'd be pretty happy. Because immediately after, it's just a fight.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, so now it's actually, you know, the smart call. No one is going aggressive. Misfits just disengaged straight away, and Millenium just took the tower. Good. Great call. That was like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then tower dive. So Protobelt Vladimir, something we actually see less and less around the world, because obviously it does delay some of your other core items like Spirit Visage and Rylai's has just become like the 2 core you build every time, and then you want to get into either Void Staff, Hourglass, or Deathcap as like your 3rd choice. So when you go Protobelt, you obviously delay the 3rd item in a sense, but if you are able to play aggressive with it early game, it is very good. And a game like this where Selfie has fallen behind, I think you could definitely make the case for just going Spirit Visage Rylai's.
Yeah.
And actually not gone for Protobelt, but it does give him a few more offensive tools.
For sure. And for more explanation on that, there is a fantastic article on eu.lolesports.com written by one of our casters. You can check out.
Which caster wrote it? How would you describe this caster?
Fantastic at everything he does. He's the tallest on the team as well. I believe he's like 8 foot tall. Yeah.
Is this opposite day or?
No. It's 100% factually correct. As right as Wisdom is taking this Rift Scuttler. Didn't he just take the bottom one as well? He just walked up river and took both Rift Scuttlers. And our mid lane tower goes down, and Misfits didn't even try and defend it. What is going on in this game?
Well, let's see. Dragon is being started, boss. And I don't think anyone could guess who actually wrote that Vladimir articles.
No, absolutely nobody. You just have to go over there and check it out yourself. That is fantastic.
8 feet tall caster wrote it. Yeah, okay, cool. So Dragon was started, but then Millenium realized they actually were losing mid tower, so they disengaged from the Dragon. And right now, Alfari is very greedy. He's very mad at everyone else because he's been picking up all the kills. And you have everyone else really starved and Honestly, not able to do a whole lot. I like our Wisdom. He got 5 assists. He's been farming well, so I can, in that sense, accept the Titanic Hydra. But he's not in a situation where he wants to get a double front line with the Heck Rim. Like, no. He needs damage too, because there's an Ashe, there's an Army, there's a Victor, there's squishy targets, you know?
I've got to match that as Rek'Sai.
Yeah, well, you also want to be the big damage dealer.
Yep.
Fits the Misfit playstyle very well.
It really does. It's still different from Misfits though, because like, yes, it's crazy, but it's not this crazy. I mean, Misfits right here do not have a lot to play for. It's more about just kind of playing what they played before. Our entertainment, yeah, and your entertainment as well. Millenium though, they would really like to get 2-0 here, because that would put a lot of separation between them and everyone else playing today to get that second seed, of course. Millenium just going to go after this dragon, but use it as a bait so they can jump onto Wisdom. And he's being CC'd so much, literally had no chance to get out of that gravity field. 3 spells used on top of him. Joko is still running towards Misfits, but doesn't land the first Undertow. He's looking for another one. Nope. And Millenium, no one picked up the dragon. Now they'll push down middle lane, see if they can take this tower.
No one wants the dragon. Everyone wants to fight.
Yeah, they're using it as a catalyst for the fight.
Exactly. It's all bait. And they do manage to get a good fight here. Ignar misses another hook. It's been the story of his game, honestly. Yep. And now we get engaged.
Well, there's no minions, so Alfari gets a 5-man ultimate. He instantly goes down. Joko, that's how it's will finish. Ignar will pick up the kill. Selfie, he came from the bottom lane and will look for a 4-man Tides of Blood, but immediately drops into Sanguine Pool. Will be chased after. Flash, torn from Kaze. Tab picks up the kill. Responds with Ignar just running away. But he's got the damage. He just came from base. Tapped. He needs to try and stay alive. He's trying to kite him away with the flash from Wisdom. And a furious bite will finish him off. As the Prey Seeker just to send Kaze packing.
Alright, we don't get any more fights right now for another 10 seconds, I can promise you that. Alfari would have had his TP ready, and he's alive in 2 seconds, but everyone is disengaged now.
For now.
We all calm down. It all starts with the Dragon Bait into this push on mid tower. Alfari sees the highlight play right there. He sees the montage. He gets a massive ulti at first, and tower starts hitting, but he does go down because he's gone Trinity Force, obviously, first item, so he's actually not very tanky. Does get a lot of members low. Selfie joins in with the Proto Belt. Don't think Selfie got exactly what he wanted there, seeing as he didn't manage to take down any targets, but while he died, Wisdom then joins in behind, picks up a kill on taps, and in the end, I actually don't even know how many players died from each team.
Many.
But it's still almost dead even in goal. Like, it's one of these games where teams are just so even, and it's just constant fighting that the goal just stays very close until one team gets like a 3 or 4 man clean fight into like a Baron, and that's what kind of snowballs the game out of control. Until that point, this is just going to be non-stop trading, back and forth.
The Origin games would be very different if they were fighting all the way through the game, just like this one. So I wouldn't mind a 70-minute game of this. This would be fine. But yeah, Dragon was also taken down during all of that. Misfits actually picked it up with the Ocean Dragon. Next one's going to be Infernal, second one of the game. And we're 22 minutes in, and we've had 18 kills.
Up here alone, when the rest of the team are really far back on the map. Why are you killing the trap?
I wonder where Victor is.
Wait, he's actually... No.
What?
He could have just recalled.
That's how he's going to get full covered. What? How?
Holy moly, he just destroyed it.
He did, but that should never have happened. Selfie has been following after with Wisdom as well. Here comes Kaze to try and save the day. Wisdom, he's still trying to CC up Pretty, but Pretty is lasting a lot longer than I was expecting him to. Now Kaze is kind of in the deep end now. Probably didn't want to really complete that TP, and Selfie's going to kite away and get all his health back from Crimson Rush.
Well, Kaze bought a lot of time. He actually bought enough time for him to take the mid-tower pulse. Definitely think that was worth it, also with the kill on Hans Sama. I like Victor's ulti. I especially like 3-item Victor at 22 minutes, fully upgraded Hex score, 5 kills, 226 CS. Like, that's what happens as an AD carry when you face a very, very fit mid laner.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
but I just don't understand how that happened though, because Hans Sama, the tunnel there just suddenly disappeared and was like, There was a Victor here 5 seconds ago.
Maybe
but,
it's the Nami.
I'm sure he went back to base already, even though recall takes 8 seconds.
I think he just wanted to try and bait it, honestly, because the rest of the team were around.
And then spell shield maybe the ulti and just not get insta-popped. Yeah,
exactly. And he ends up getting hit by almost everything. Didn't even get to see what exactly he spell shielded. Obviously, like the laser does a ton of damage there.
Yeah.
Especially the second tick of the ulti does a ton of, well, the first tick as well does a ton of damage. The only thing you don't want to spell shade is the Q from Victor. Like that's the least damage you kind of remove.
Well, the first part. The second part even does a lot.
Exactly,
of
the first
damage.
part.
Yeah.
I want to see Lich Bane now. I love Lich Bane Victor.
Yeah.
Just so
Especially
much
when you're
damage.
this far ahead. With
Yeah,
the
exactly.
zap on the Q, you would just like insta-pop people.
But Rylai's is the main component. If you ever want to play Victor at home, just Rylai's, honestly, in every single situation, is just a fantastic item for him. You can then always debate Morel, Nomicon, yes, no. When against Vladimir, who obviously does have a lot of healing, it does make a lot of sense. It means you can just go for Magic Penetration Boots, because you don't need the extra cooldown reduction. It is expensive though, and actually does delay certain other items. Now we fight in top lane.
We're going to have another fight top lane.
The
Selfie,
attacker,
he's very low, but Alfari wants to fight regardless. Joko Zeta, I'm not sure that Misfits saw him. He's going to jump onto tabs though, and it's a lot of damage even through Exhaust. Onslaught of Shadows will buy him some time. Wisdom's going to come out there. Ignar joins the fight. Handsam is going to go down. Selfie tries to come back in, but he's got all his health back because he's Vladimir. Joko, he's winning for life and somehow survives. And the Victor's still going crazy in the back lines, but ultimately both of the ADCs die.
Yeah, and I've never seen two AD carries enjoy the game this much. Every single fight, there's a massive bruiser just running in your face, or a Victor trying to one-shot you. Now Pretty is fighting again.
He is, and Kazi there, but I'm not sure how much he can help. Ignar's coming in from the side. The flash, the flay onto two members. Pretty's going to back away. He's got the Shed Ultimate on top of him. It's not going to save his life, and it's not going to save Kazi either. Both of them died for that. But at least Masterwork survived.
Yeah, yay, Masterwork, you ran away. Good job.
Fantastic. And
Misfits,
Misfits...
always what you want to see when your support survives and your carries die.
Perfect. Well, at least Joker got out as well. So 2 out of those 5 members did manage to get out of that fight alive. And now Misfits will go for Baron. 25 minutes in.
Masterwork is here.
He is, because he was still alive.
That's because he's still alive.
He's got ult.
Wait,
what was the body? What was that even aimed at? Handsam will come in there and he just sees his enemy AD carry just fall over. And Misfits will be very happy to pick up this very easy Baron. I'm not even sure what was that meant to be, like an animation cancel, but like misaimed the volley, like that was unfortunate. All right, let's see that in all the way back.
All the way back. That's the problem again. We have so many fights. So taps with Millenium pushing up, but right now Pretty is running from the mid lane. Shen could TP in with his ulti. Will use it obviously to try and. Now he actually TPs in on the minion instead of ulting on taps. He could have kept taps alive there for much longer. Would have still died to Wisdom in the end, but they used the Shen TP to kill Hansama. So both AD carries goes down, but they're losing the fight here. Definitely losing the fight, and now the chase, where Pretty ends up staying for a little bit longer. Goes back to clear out the wave, and then he just gets flanked. Very easy flank, honestly, for Misfits, and forcing the rest of Millenium to try and help. And then he goes down. Pretty, that is. Kaze goes down, sets up that Baron. I would love to see just a speed up here into what actually happened with tabs at the Baron.
Yeah, and then slow that down to a quarter speed.
Well, let's see. Here he is. He's running. He's running. So hawk shots. Right. Okay, okay.
There's a second hawk shot.
All right. So what is he trying to do here? There's a flash. I think he sees the hook from Ignar. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. The fact he then moves his mouse with the volley is
unfortunate.
Unfortunate. So it actually just looked much worse.
Yeah.
But flashing their hook was a good thing.
That's fine. You're forgiven. There's a Q onto Joko, getting dragged in. He's still pretty tanky. Infernal Dragon still putting down work onto Millenium. And Alfari, does he have his ultimate? Yes. Yes, he does. And Dragon's going to reset. And I predict a fight in the near future, Deficio.
I think you are correct. And Kaze!
The hook onto Kaze. Tidal Wave goes right through the middle of the fight. Alfari jumps onto the backlines. Great ultimate from him. Will knock the ADC back into his team. Masterwork is going down. Final hook will come in there, out from Ignar to pick up that kill. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is just dead. Wisdom's following him to Pretty, but actually, he can't actually duel him yet. He needs Selfie to follow after.
And sadly for Millenium, Pulse, we've hit a point in the game where Shen's team fighting is not very strong. Olaf is a fantastic early game jungler, but once he gets a few items, yes, he becomes more tanky, but he doesn't really get that much extra damage to kill the AD carry. So while Millenium had some good fights in the start and do have the scaling on Ashe and Victor, compared to what this Hecarim can dive into the backline with, followed by Satanic Hydra Rek'Sai, and of course a full late game, not full late game, but a late game Vladimir, Millenium suddenly just don't have the survivability or the damage to either out-sustain Misfits in these fights or burst them down fast enough, other than just Pretty trying to one-shot like Hans Sama, and that's it. but the Hecarim Rek'Sai combo against an Ashe is just more impactful.
Uh-oh. Selfie may have to turn and fight. Oh, he does a lot of damage. Hook shot. Blue trinket. Ah, Rek'Sai. Wisdom's going to save the day. He's good. He's good. Selfie heals a lot. Okay, so where are we at? 14 kills, 16 kills, 30 kills,
right,
more fights. Let's
try and compare here Kaze and Joko also, with Joko being 50% in their attempt to try and get, you know, onto the backline of Misfits, and then the other way around. Probably Kaze gets hooked in, and now he has to commit to defend taps, so there's no one actually diving the backline of Misfits, and this is exactly what they want, because now you got these big bruisers in Hecarim, in the Rek'Sai, and then also Vladimir next to them, where these targets are really hard to take down, and they have enough damage to kill a squishy member. So it's just perfect for Misfits, that kind of fight. Ignar is getting caught.
Unfortunately, in the enemy jungle, Master Work and Tabs have found him. Flash over the wall. Kaze was following after Alfari as well, who was dancing around bottom lane. And we have more kills in this game than minutes.
Yeah.
6,000 gold advantage to Misfits.
And I don't think Millenium can win a fight unless they can actually properly get onto Hans Sama or Selfie and just like one-shot them. But it requires Selfie to misplay and Hans Sama then to get jumped by 2 or 3 members. And if he does get jumped by so many guys, Taps should die in return, obviously on the side of Millenium. Otherwise, I don't see them winning any fights against this Hecarim, Rek'Sai, Vladimir combo. And keep in mind, Sivir, while she's 0-4, has picked up a ton of farms. She's on 3 items, and it requires 1 crit to bounce through the team of Millenium, and she's actually had value in that fight. So it is really hard for Taps to be impactful in these, and it's all about pretty suddenly with the damage, which just isn't enough for Millenium. Like, they really need to catch out Misfits here. Otherwise, they're going to lose the following few fights.
Well, Kaze, what a trooper. He's still defending that tower, and he's got like 10 HP left. Mid-tower fall to Misfits. And this game was not going horribly for Millenium up until basically that Baron, that random fight in top lane where Tabs was unable to contest, and Misfits picked up the Baron. And you basically hit the nail on the head in the early game. Whoever picks up the Baron will be able to swing this game.
Yeah, and sadly, Pauls. Not sadly, actually. This has been a very fun game to watch, but I've seen my fair share of these games where it's just like a ton of aggressive fighting in the early game, and it always tends to be the same because both teams are again fairly even, so it's rare that you can just through pure mechanical outplays just get a big enough advantage that you like win the game. So instead it becomes like all about 25 minutes-ish. Who wins that next fight and takes a Baron? Well, that's the team who tends to just snowball out of control.
That's exactly what's happened in this game. There's been a whole lot of fighting, and Millenium did seem in like a decent position, but as you just said, swung out of their control, unfortunately, and the more points they can pick up here, the better. But if they lose this game, then they can only potentially pick up 1 point, so it's not as good as netting the 3 that would give them that nice safety net.
No, yeah, I would have loved to see Millenium in the early to mid game, you know, put less focus on diving between 2 towers, and actually just use the double global pressure from the Shen alone to pressure these towers. Just take down objectives without giving anything to Misfits. He actually stole the boom.
Wow, great Seeker.
That does suck, especially because it gives 15% AP for late game Victor. That's denied now. But whenever Millenium took the fight over just taking the objective, they actually gave Misfit a chance to always get something in return.
Right.
Despite being down at teleport very often, because Alfari had to use them against the Shen. So that's where Millenium ended up trading too much. And that's why the game was kept even. Obviously, there were some issues here and there. Both teams can probably highlight some. In the end, Millenium are right now not in a good position. And you said it, they really wanted 2-0 to completely lock that second place.
Still possible, but it also now depends on the results from the other games today. So if we get another game like this, Fisher, where both teams are just fighting constantly, even if just one team just wants to fight all the time and is diving all the time, would you change your composition? Would you go for something different where you would try and play around that, or just go for a pure team fighting composition to outplay the opponent, just make it a little easier on yourself? Or would you just do the same thing and just play it differently?
I definitely don't think this game was lost in picks and bans by any means. I think both teams had enough ways to actually win the game, and also with the way the game got played out, obviously. It's just about like League of Legends right now is about which team makes the least mistakes.
Right.
And that's the thing, and Selfie's going in.
1v4, he's got the rest of the team behind him, and with the Zhonya's Hourglass, it will buy him a bit of time for Outright to come in at near light speed onto Joko, and we'll back away for a second, but the hook-ons are pretty, what a perfect target to land it on, and Alfario will just go rampant in the back lines, pick up a kill onto Joko, look for a little bit more, and then follow on to the middle and hit with the turret. What am I saying? They're fighting, they just want more kills. Tabs, he's so close to dying, and Masterwork will say, my life for Aya, and survive, or allow Tabs to survive. Kaze will be dropping 1v4, can't win out that trade. The flash from Ignore won't land the hook, that won't be a death sentence today for Tabs. And now Misfits will back away and look for the win here.
Well, Paul Sereno, Misfits managed to win another fight, and they will get a reward. It's called the Nexus. It
is. Tabs is going to try his best to try and defend, but unfortunately Vladimir and a very fed Hecarim will stop the end of that tail, unfortunately. Misfits onto the Nexus, and no one to stop them. Wisdom doesn't care about his KDA. Misfits will take game 1 over Millennium.
And in the end, as we talked about, it became a situation where Millennium just didn't seem to have enough damage. Like, it was like, can pretty one-shot someone, otherwise you have 0 chance, because Tabs cannot deal damage in these fights.
Yep.
Against so many tanks diving straight for him, there's so little he can do compared to Sivir, who just bounces a ricochet above like around 5 members. So going all the way back to pick and bans, you know, if there's one thing maybe we could have seen different, you could have run this Sivir yourself with the Olaf and Shen to really empower them when it came to just diving the back line and have that Sivir you can kind of sacrifice in a sense because there was so much dive on the other side. But I think both teams had situations in this game where they were looking to get really far ahead in the early to mid game, and then both teams were like, let's just keep diving between towers and go crazy
this is fun.
here.
This early game's been great. Let's keep going,
And then they just kept trading until obviously Misfits won that fight in the top lane, took the Baron, and then it was kind of GG.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, from here, Millennium would still like to pick up this next win. I mean, like, any points from here on out is good for them to try and get that second spot. But it's not bad for them because they won't be facing Misfits regardless going into playoffs.
Yes.
But
can only face them in the final itself. Yeah. And by then, you've already locked your place in the promotion tournament.
Exactly. Then you're playing for seeding.
Yeah, which obviously will be played after week 9 of the EU LCS. So before playoff starts and after week 9, that little week in between, is the promotion tournament.
That is correct.
That is correct.
All right.
I'm glad I'm not wrong.
No.
It would be kind of embarrassing.
No, maybe we're both wrong, and I'm just like...
No. It's definitely that week. Definitely that week.
Yeah. All right. So are we just expecting another game like that first one in the second year?
Probably.
I personally am from these two teams, honestly.
I think we saw Misfits team kind of saying, guys, hey, we can try. Try some crazy stuff. You know, we don't have to worry too much about the result. Obviously, winning is great. That's what you want to do for your confidence. But I think we will see the same kind of game. I think Misfits will go crazy in the early game. I think Millennium will try and match it. But I want to see Millennium instead say, oh, if you want to go crazy, we want to play the macro game. And we want to try and use like some of our global advantages. We want to play more for towers and not give you these fights you're looking for. Because that's obviously one of the ways Misfits kept it even for such a long time.
And that's what I'd like to see too, because we literally said coming into this game, no one's been able to match Misfits on pure mechanics, because in terms of like player skill, they're probably like the best, if not like second best in every role in Challenger for their lineup. I mean, that's where Misfits excel, just by beating you in lane, like win lane, win game, you know? So maybe if that's the way that anyone are going to win, maybe they do that, because...
It's hard to adapt, though, now between two games.
Yeah.
And if this is the style you came in planning to play, like very aggressive early game, Shen Olaf and just try and like set up tower dives left and right, it can be difficult to just change it between games, but that's where, again, the BO2 does give you a chance to adapt at least. So I would like to see that, but I think we're just going to get another crazy fighting game where you will
fine
yell.
With me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're going to yell for like 80%. I'm just going to sit here with this weird orange thing, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the game for you, Division. It's good because it will set me up for the rest of the day, because I'm here all day with Vedius, who will be coming up later as well. So that'll be fun. Another 4 games following that.
You are replacing me, Pulse. I
am. Well, Vedius is technically replacing you. I'm not.
That's fair, but you are the one making the decision.
That's true. Well, I'm going to replace you right now with game 1 going over to Misfits after a crazy game. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll have another crazy game right after this.